The rain hammered against the ornate wooden doors of the grand estate like 1,000 unanswered questions. Emma stood there, soaked to the bone in her simple navy dress, clutching a small, slightly crumpled gift wrapped in silver paper that was now turning to mush. Her heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear the muffled laughter and string quartet music drifting from inside. She raised her hand to knock again, but before her knuckles met the wood, the door swung open. There stood Sarah, her Sarah, the girl who had once shared every secret, every dream, every late-night cry, with her new husband's best man at her side. Sarah's eyes widened, then hardened. "You weren't invited," Sarah said, her voice low but sharp enough to cut through the storm. "Please, Emma, just go." The words landed like stones in Emma's chest. She had driven 6 hours through flooded roads for this moment, rehearsing 100 different apologies in her head. But all she could manage was a broken whisper, "I just wanted to see you happy." The door closed, the lock clicked, and in that instant, everything in Emma's world felt like it had shattered for the final time. If you're watching this right now, feeling that familiar ache of being left out, of doors slamming in your face when all you wanted was to belong, stay with me. This story is for you. Hit that like button if you've ever fought for a relationship that everyone else had already written off, and subscribe because these kinds of stories, the real, raw ones, remind us we're never truly alone. Let's dive in. Emma Thompson had always been the quiet glue in every friendship group. At 32, she worked as a children's librarian in a small coastal town, the kind of place where everyone knew your name but not necessarily your pain. 3 years earlier, her life had fractured when her mother, Sarah's godmother, passed away after a long battle with cancer. In the chaos of grief, Emma had made the biggest mistake of her life. Overwhelmed and terrified of losing the only family she had left, she lashed out at Sarah during the funeral reception, accusing her of not being there enough, of choosing her flashy new fiancé's world over their sisterhood. Words were said that couldn't be taken back. Silence followed. Invitations stopped coming. Sarah's engagement announcement came through a mutual friend's post, not a personal call. Emma spent the next 2 years trying to rebuild. She sent letters that went unanswered. She showed up at Sarah's favorite cafe on what would have been their annual birthday tradition, only to find the table already occupied by strangers. Therapy helped her understand her own abandonment wounds, but it couldn't erase the guilt. When she heard through the grapevine that Sarah was getting married at the family estate, the same place where they had played princesses as kids, Emma knew she had to try one last time. Not to ruin the day. Just to show up, to prove that some bonds were worth fighting for even when the other person had stopped fighting. The drive there had been a journey through memory lane. Every mile marker brought flashbacks. Sarah teaching her how to ride a bike after Emma's father left. The two of them sneaking into the old lighthouse to watch storms roll in, promising they'd always face life together. Emma had packed the gift carefully, a handmade scrapbook filled with photos from their childhood, pressed flowers from their favorite beach, and a letter pouring out everything she wished she could say in person. But now, standing on that rain-slicked porch, watching the taillights of her old car blur through tears, she felt like the world's biggest fool. She turned to leave, shoulders slumped, when the door flew open again. Wait, it wasn't Sarah, it was Eleanor, Sarah's grandmother, the silver-haired matriarch who had practically raised both girls after Emma's mother got sick. Eleanor's face was pale, her elegant wedding outfit slightly askew. "Emma, child, come inside." Now, everything changed in that single heartbeat. What Emma didn't know, what no one outside the family knew, was that Sarah had been unraveling for months. The pressure of the perfect wedding, the expectations from her in-laws, and the quiet grief she had buried after losing her godmother had cracked her wide open. Earlier that morning, during the final preparations, Sarah had broken down in the bridal suite, sobbing that something felt missing. That she had pushed away the one person who had always seen the real her. Her new husband, Michael, a good man but from a very different world, had gently suggested she call Emma. Sarah had refused, too proud, too scared of reopening old wounds on what was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. But Eleanor had seen it all, and when she spotted Emma through the window, drenched and defeated, something in the old woman's heart, honed by decades of watching love slip away, snapped into action. Inside the warm, glowing hall filled with flowers and candlelight, Emma stood dripping on the marble floor while guests whispered. Sarah appeared at the top of the grand staircase, veil slightly crooked, mascara already running. For a long moment, the two women just stared at each other across the distance that 3 years of silence had built. Then Sarah descended, slowly at first, then faster, until she was running in her wedding dress. They collided in the middle of the room in a hug so fierce it knocked the breath out of both of them. "I was so angry," Sarah whispered into Emma's wet hair. "I thought you didn't want me in your life anymore. After Mom. After everything. I was terrified of losing you too, so I pushed first." Emma pulled back, tears streaming. "I was drowning. I said horrible things because I was scared. You were my sister. You still are. I didn't come here to ruin your day. I couldn't let you walk down that aisle without knowing I'm still here. Even if it's from the sidelines." The room had gone completely silent except for the soft patter of rain against the tall windows. Michael stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on Sarah's shoulder. "This is your family too," he said simply. "Invite her to sit with us. The schedule can wait." What followed was a wedding unlike any other. Emma was ushered to a seat of honor beside Eleanor. During the vows, Sarah glanced at her repeatedly, her voice cracking with new emotion as she promised not just to love Michael, but to never again let fear close doors on the people who mattered. When it came time for toasts, Sarah surprised everyone by handing the microphone to Emma. With shaking hands, Emma stood. "I wasn't invited today," she began, voice raw. "And I understand why. But love, real love doesn't always wait for perfect invitations. Sometimes it shows up soaked, scared, and carrying a soggy scrapbook." The room erupted in warm laughter through tears. "Sarah, you taught me that family isn't about blood or perfect timing. It's about showing up anyway. Thank you for letting me back in." The rest of the night blurred into dancing, stories, and healing. Old friends reconnected. New ones welcomed Emma without question. Even the rain stopped, as if the universe itself had exhaled. Sarah and Emma slipped away at one point to the old lighthouse on the estate grounds, their childhood sanctuary, and sat on the cold stone floor, just like when they were kids. They talked until dawn about the years lost, the mistakes made, and the future they refused to waste. Challenges like these, the ones that test the deepest bonds, don't resolve with a single hug. Emma still had work to do on her own fears of abandonment. Sarah had to learn to balance her new marriage with old loyalties. But they committed to it. Monthly calls turned into weekend visits. Emma became godmother to their first child 2 years later. The scrapbook, dried and restored, sat on their family bookshelf, a testament to the power of second chances. If there's one thing this story teaches us, it's this: don't wait for the perfect moment to mend what's broken. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is show up at the door, even when they say you weren't invited. Because the people worth fighting for will eventually open it. And when they do, everything can change. The relationships we almost lose are often the ones that teach us how to love better. So if you're out there carrying regret, holding on to hurt, or standing in the rain of your own making, take that step. Forgive, reach out, show up. Thank you for watching this story unfold. If it moved you even a little, please like this video so more people can find it, and subscribe for more heartfelt tales that remind us what it means to be human. Drop a comment with your own story of showing up anyway. I read every single one. You matter. Your heart matters. And doors that once closed can open wider than you ever imagined. Until next time, keep showing up for the people you love. The world needs more of that.